Let me find a loop. Let's find a good loop in this song, and then we'll go through and just start mixing some stuff together. So let me do like here. I really like this section, the bridge into the outro of the song. Gets really loud and dynamic at that part. So in reference to my last video that I posted, this doesn't have the vocals in it because I don't want the song to get taken down, because she did release it under a distributor. I just don't want to risk it getting taken down or flagged. All right, so let's just start with the kick now. If it needs anything, we'll see. Almost got myself. As you can see there, I almost forgot to turn on the EQ module and the dynamics module on this plugin, which is unique to this plugin. I'm gonna throw on some filter too, and I want to get rid of some of that snare and stuff that's also being bled into the mic. So yeah, pretty similar to, with the actual kick mic, except that I know that I wanted to take out what I want. I'm taking out the kick mic, like the frequencies, what I want the sub to fill in, essentially. That's the idea that I'm having in my head. I'm like, I know what I want to use the sub kick for, so I just want to make sure that the actual kick mic doesn't get in the way of what I like about the sub kick and what its job is to, to be there. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. So, I boosted a little bit at 300. It sounds like it's really round and punchy, in my opinion, where that's at. And then I took about, I don't know what this would be, like between 200 and 300, I guess, just because I feel like that's where the low tom and the sub kick were kind of got some beef right there. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of button head. So I took some of that out, and then just a little bit of compression. So let's hear that together now. So you can hear with me bypassing both channel strips, not only does the kick disappear when I disengage it, or the sub would disappear too when I would disengage the channel strip, but you can also hear a lot of that snare bleed coming out as well too. And then let's try to throw the distressor on this, the actual kick mic. When I look at the distressor, the job is for me to get a little bit of distortion. I do like what the distressor does, in my opinion. I've said this before on my channel. I do think that the plugin sounds just like the hardware, if not pretty damn close. The way I like to use it, my go-to starting point for a distressor is to put in opto mode. So basically you can see right here, it lets you know how to set up the distressor in opto mode. If you set the release to 0 and you set the attack to 10, and you have to switch the actual ratio to this opto. What is nice about the actual plugin versus the hardware is that you can just click on the LEDs and it jumps right through it. If you're on the hardware, you'd have to keep clicking through until you get the right one. So just a little tip, but yeah, you can just click the lights or whatever. I personally like distortion 3, and I do like to link a little top end boost, I think, a little upper mid range boost. So yeah, let's just dial this in and see how we're feeling. So you can definitely hear, obviously with the sub kick off, obviously it's compressing, so a little bit of that bleed is going to come back, but I feel like in a more consistent way, it's also bringing up the room around it, not just the actual snare. So I think it sounds cool. Let's get started on the snare too. I'm going to copy this kick distressor over and give us a good starting point. So basically what I'm doing and what I like about the channel strip as well is the compressor for sure. 99% of the time it's going to be the first plugin, if not the second plugin in my chain, because I do like the compressor a lot. The compressor does a lot of work for me. But yeah, let's throw this distressor in. I copied the settings from the kick, so let's do this. Let's see what happens. Just throw it on. It could sound cool. I just kind of over exaggerated a little bit just to show you what it's capable of doing. But yeah, you can see, I mean, this thing, you can really pulverize sounds with the distressor. Yeah, let's set up the distressor and keep moving. I don't know. Like I said, probably wouldn't necessarily go for this sound, but we're just going with it for the video. Let's see what these sounds sound like, though. So with this tom, obviously we have a bass guitar coming in, so this could change a little bit. But I kind of just like where this, I don't know, a little bit under 300, I guess. There was some low end that I liked about the tom that's kind of pushing through the drums, because it's not necessarily you need to hear it, it's kind of like you need to feel it. Obviously, you want to know it's there, which is why I add a little bit of 3K and then just a little bit of compression and a little bit of filtering. This could change because once we bring in the bass guitar, we might need to make room for it. So we'll see. But let's move on to this high tom real quick. For me personally, when it comes to high toms, kind of want it to be still felt in a way, especially like I'm just trying to picture it like on bigger speakers, or like if you're at a concert, like you kind of want to still feel those toms. Depends on what they're playing, and like I said, depends on the song too and the genre or whatever. I'm gonna boost a little bit, add 100, feels good. I think for this song they kind of just need to be there too, but try to get as much feeling tone out of it as I can. Sounds good. Like it for what it is and the way we're moving. Let's keep it. Let's see, hi-hat. I don't know. Don't really need much to do with it. It's kind of just there for me. All right, let's check these overheads real quick. Let's see what's going on here. So another thing too, the way I personally like to work, which is why I like the SSL stuff, is because I like to do like broad stroke stuff. So you can see that the Q for me, I like to use like wide EQs a lot. I feel like it gets you to a more finished sound a lot quicker, in my opinion. But with the overheads, I didn't want to add, because now thinking about it, I remember just not adding too much sizzle to the rest of the instruments, like the snare, the tom, the kicks and stuff, because I knew I would do that with the overheads. Not saying that we would keep it necessarily, but for now, I just kind of want to fulfill what I'm hearing like in my gut, if that makes sense. So let's see what it sounds like. So yeah, just making it sound pretty. The room, let's see, I don't usually do too much with the rooms. I kind of try to keep those like natural, especially with this. Like I'm lucky that it was recorded well and that we, use a little bit nicer equipment. And obviously the players and stuff were great. It's a little bit easier to kind of just use the room, or like in this case, I also have a mono room, just kind of use them for what they are. So I'm kind of just going to blend it in and, we'll see. Let's see what happens. Let's kind of overcompress this and see what it does. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get really ratty with it, the SSL compressor can definitely do that if it needs to. But to be honest, I don't really think it needs anything. Maybe just a little bit of filtering just to make room for like the bass or like the rest of the instruments. But I'm gonna kind of just keep it as is. Same thing with the mono room. You know, that's just kind of there for dimension or a back to front kind of thing. All right, so let's take off the plugins and turn it back on and see how much of a difference it is. So yeah, I mean, obviously you can hear there's definitely some crunchiness and some top end being added, but all in all, like just for using channel strips, the drums pretty much got cleaned up pretty well without using any crazy like parametric EQ or any dynamic EQ or anything like that. Just using a simple channel strip, a good one at that, and then a couple distressors. I'm gonna bring down the tracks. I am clipping a little bit, the bus at least. So let's bring the leave a little bit of headroom, and it's not really that big of a deal. It's not like we're consistently at the top every now and then, but let's see. Maybe we can tame it with this bus compressor in this channel. So yeah, I think with using a channel strip overall on the bus can be cool. Definitely making that kick come just a little bit through, adding a little bit more thump to the drum kit in general. I just added 50 hertz, and then took out a little bit of like, this is usually referred to like as a honkiness EQ, or not EQ, EQ like frequency range, which is usually between like, I don't know, 500 and 700, usually 6 to 7, but you can throw 5 in there. It just depends on the instruments and what it is. And then just a little bit of crack with the snare at right below 1.5K. No compressor because we know we're going to use the G bus real quick. And then just a little bit of filtering, but let's get this G bus in. So yeah, I mean, personally, my starting point with an SSL compressor ratio, 2 to 1 for sure. I'm not sure what the filter is on the UAD one, and then the attack, I always like 10. I don't know why. I do like 10 on what it does. I feel like that's a pretty like neutral attack setting. And the same thing with the release. I kind of like it straight up in the middle, 0.5. I just feel like this is like these two attack and release settings are like a neutral setting, letting the transients come through, picking them up whenever it needs to, but then the release is in the middle. It's like holding it but not letting go. And then obviously just threshold is set to state. And then you can see UAD try to trick us. They started off with makeup gain already, and I was like, oh, this sounds good. But then I realized that there was makeup gain already set at the default setting, so I made sure to restart that at 0, and I added, I don't know, I guess like a dB or something.